Welcome to day 3 of our week-long series, Exposed, America's Broke. And with our government buying up bad mortgages and nearly bankrupt companies, and oh, aren't you glad we got that insurance company now? That title rings more and more true. The numbers are simple, not counting the hundreds of billions of dollars that we're using to bail people out who made bad decisions. We have already made social promises to people totaling over $53 trillion. We don't have $53 trillion. We don't have it today, and given the course that we're currently on, we're not going to have it tomorrow or the next day or the day after that. But closing the gap. I mean, it's simple on paper, man. You can take out your red pen and just start crossing things off, but it is virtually impossible in practice because of politics. You picture yourself as a senator that's running on the offshore drilling and 110% Social Security tax increase platform. Yeah, they're about you and your wife, maybe. Maybe your wife will vote for you. Or you ask some focus group whether they'd vote for you if you ran on the pro-life and pro-50% cuts in Medicare benefits platform. Probably not going to happen. All of which is why they call the issues the third rail of politics. It's like touching that third rail, you know, in the New York subway system. It electrifies the subway. A politician who tries to touch Social Security or Medicare sees their career begin to smoke and burst into a ball of fire. Now, David Walker, he is the former Comptroller General of the United States of America. It basically means he's our nonpartisan chief bean counter. He's been on this program I don't know how many times. The last time he was here, it was about a month ago, and I asked him, David, who can we trust in Washington to lead us out of this mess? And here is what he said.
Jim Cooper, who's a Democrat from Tennessee, Frank Wolf, who's a Republican from Northern Virginia, Senator Conrad from North Dakota, Senator Gregg from New Hampshire, Senator Voinovich from Ohio. They're all trying to help create a fiscal future commission to help us deal with our $53 trillion hole. That's leadership.
Well, we got a problem with a leadership deficit. I don't trust anybody anymore, and I want to get out of that place. Well, we're about to put David Walker's recommendations to the test because 2 of the 5 people he recommended are here today. Republican Senator Judd Gregg, he is from New Hampshire. He's a ranking member of the Senate Budget Committee. And Democratic Congressman Jim Cooper, he's from Tennessee, and he is on the House Budget Committee. And, of course, we also have David Walker, former Comptroller General of the United States and current president and CEO of the Peter G. Peterson Foundation. David, let me start with you on what I just said. I mean, I was preparing for this interview today, and I'm afraid that our politicians in Washington will find me a little hostile, and I don't mean to. I just don't trust any of them. We have a deficit in leadership. Explain that.
We clearly do. I mean, we have a budget deficit, a savings deficit, a balance of payments trade deficit, but the biggest one of all is a leadership deficit. But there are exceptions, and 2 of the exceptions are going to be on your program today. By the way, happy Constitution Day.
As we have run it through the shredder this week. Okay. Let me go to Congressman Gregg then. Or I'm sorry, Senator Gregg. Senator, you're a Republican. I'm a conservative. I generally vote for Republicans. But I have to tell you, convince me that I can trust a Republican. You guys gave us prescription drugs, which was $8.7 billion on top of what we've already done.
Trillion.
I'm sorry, trillion. Sorry.
Right. Well, I voted against that. I actually voted against the prescription drug and have railed against it on innumerable occasions on the floor of the Senate because of the $8 trillion unfunded liability, which increased the overall unfunded liability by about 10, 15, 20%. Oh. So that was a serious mistake. It shouldn't have been done. It should have been done the way it was done. We should have paid for it.
Okay.
The issue here really is, how do you get folks who, as you mentioned in your lead-in, are concerned about the next election to look at the next generation? And that's been our problem. Congress is good at dealing with the next election, but not the next generation. And Jim and I have come up with a proposal, along with Congressman Wolf and Senator Conrad, to try to do that. And it basically puts in place a BRAC-like approach where you set up a group of folks who are committed to doing something right and doing something aggressive in the area of Medicare, Social Security, and tax reform, puts them in a room, says, come up with a plan, and then the Congress, without amendment, has to vote the plan up or down. And it's a fast-track way to get some results.
Okay. Congressman,
Yes.
Now, Senator, it's your turn to point to the congressman. Congressman, how could I possibly believe you guys? Because when you guys took control of Congress, you said, oh, we're going to be most ethical. I mean, let me remind you of what's his name, Charlie Rangel. You've given us a huge deficit. You had the pay-go system, and yet that ain't doing anything. Pay-go, you're still violating that. I mean, why should I vote? Why should I trust you guys?
Well, Glenn, we put pay-go back into place, and largely we've stuck to it, which is an improvement because the Republican Congress let it expire entirely. Alan Greenspan said the single most important reform we could undertake would be to put pay-go back in place, and we've largely done that. But let's look to the future. On December 15th of this year, Hank Paulson, the Secretary of Treasury, a good Republican, and a good Secretary of Treasury, will issue a report with the real numbers for America in it. These are the only audited numbers for America using real accounting. They're essentially the annual report for America. But Secretary Paulson will hide that report. He will bury it. He will not have a press conference. We know this because last year's report completely hidden. And that's where you get the $53 trillion number in liabilities for America. We've got to expose this to the American public.
David, you know it as well as I know. This has been hidden for a long time. O'Neill tried to get it into the 2003 budget, and he was left to go spend some time with his family. Finally got it into the appendix of the Social Security budget when the plan was there, called the index or pain index, or what was it, menu of pain. Do we have that chart up here? How is it, David, that we can get anybody to pay attention to this when the numbers are being buried, when you've got a couple of people in Congress and the Senate that want to do the right thing, but nobody on the election, nobody, McCain, Obama, they're not really talking about any of this stuff?
Well, the numbers are in the financial statements of the U.S. government. They had been for a while. The problem is nobody reads them. And so the fact of the matter is you need to figure out how you can get this important information out to the public in a useful form. It's in the movie, IOUSA. We at the foundation are doing a lot of things through the internet with it. Stay tuned. You may well see a federal burden clock rather than a federal debt clock in the future. The problem's not the debt, it's the unfunded obligations, the $53 trillion plus, $455,000 per household.
But how do I, again, here's how much politics plays a role into it. Doug Holtz-Eakin, he was the director of the Congressional Budget Office. We tried to get him on, I think, on Monday night's program. He's a guy who's been doing, he's the director of the CBO. Couldn't get him on. Why? Because he's now on as part of the John McCain campaign, and the McCain campaign said, no, we're not making any comment on any of this stuff right now. What are you talking about? We're not asking him to speak for the campaign. We're asking him to enlighten the American people of the kind of games that are going on. If you can't get somebody who both parties are saying they're reformers, if you can't get them to come on and speak about it, well, what the hell does that even mean?
Well, the truth is that neither one of the major candidates are really focusing on our fiscal hole. And one of the things we're doing at the Peterson Foundation is we're analyzing the position of both major candidates. We'll make that public within the next week or so to be able to show whether or not they're making progress or actually making it worse. Okay,
Congressman and Senator, I hate to be so harsh on you because you guys are some of the good guys in Washington, and you are trying to do the right thing. The people are very, very frustrated. You guys in Washington just took another $85 billion away from us last night without even asking us. I don't know where anyone finds that in the Constitution. Let me ask you this. Assuming that people in Washington really do want to make a difference, what can we, the people, do to empower the good people to make things happen and to put country first, as John McCain would say?
Well, I think the first and most important thing that people can do is speak to the people who are running for office and say, do you support the Greg Cooper Wolf proposal, which would set up a procedure which would guarantee that ideas for correcting and maybe not resolving but significantly improving this fiscal plight that we're facing are voted on up or down. And so if everybody is held to the test of whether or not they would support such an approach, and we get a majority of people elected who've at least committed in their campaigns that they would support such an approach, and it shouldn't be hard for them to commit to that, then we can get some progress.